Okay, this is Transformers Animated Voyager Shockwave / Long Arm Prime. Here he is in both versions, the original gray version, Voyager version, and the new repaint, uh, the G1 color Shockwave that comes in a 2-pack with Activator's Bumblebee. Uh, let's look at the packaging just quickly so that you get to appreciate how you purchase this figure. Well, he comes in a 2-pack, as I said, with the Activator's Bumblebee. So if you haven't gotten the Activator's Bumblebee and you haven't gotten the Shockwave, it's a nice pack to have. If you've gotten both, then this is just a nice to have. It's not a figure that you'd want to go and chase after. Okay, the other 2-pack is a 2-pack between Sunstorm, another Starscream repaint, which comes after the Skywarp, and Activator's Ratchet. I will probably get Sunstorm this pack, but I'm not too fond of the Ratchet figure, so I'm gonna have to wait and see till I see the figure if it's really worth getting the 2-pack. Otherwise, I'll probably just get this guy as a loose figure or as a second-hand figure if anybody gets tired of him, or if anybody gets an additional figure. But I will probably get Sunstorm, definitely, and once I do get him, I'll make a review. Okay, I got him for $36 out of a hobby shop. If you live in Metro Manila, the hobby shop is called R Toys. It's at the 2nd floor of V Mall in Green Hills. Robert, the shop owner, is a good friend of mine. He gives great deals on Transformers and G.I. Joe figures. So I think he still has some stock. If you're interested in this figure, you can get it for about $36 to $38, I think, or about $1,800 to $2,000. Okay, enough of that. Let's talk about the figures in general. Okay, the figure mold is really an incredible mold. I really personally think this is one of the figures where the engineering team put a lot of thought into it. It's a quadruple changer. It's probably the first quadruple changer I've ever come across with, if you don't count the 6 changers in G1, 6-shot, and the Decepticon. I've forgotten his name. Those figures convert into 6, so they could be considered as quadruple or sextuple changers. But with the limitation of 4 modes, this is the only quadruple changer. But if you ask me, I think the alt modes of the Cybertronian tank and Cybertronian crane, I think they were a forced alt mode on these figures, and they were just haphazardly done. I think the original intention was just to make a figure that transformed from robot to robot, from Autobot to Decepticon. That's really the gimmick of this figure, and I think that they did a hell of a job in doing that. Both figures retain the same transformation. They have the same articulation. They have the same features. Everything. The only difference is the paint job, as always. This figure has been reviewed so many times. Is the original show accurate, the more show accurate figure. This, on the other hand, is a G1 repaint. As you know, Shockwave was purple, or a lot deeper purple than this, violet if you may, in the G1 series. I went out and got him because when I was a kid, I was a big fan of the Shockwave figure, especially the Shockwave character. I liked the way he transformed. He had a great alt mode. He had good features like the light and sounds. But back then in the 80s and 90s, there wasn't any cheap Transformers out here. The only Transformers we had were Takara's, and they cost an arm and a leg. And I was a kid back then, and I could not afford to get it. The closest I got to a G1 Shockwave is this guy. He is a Shockwave Action Master figure. You know, those small non-transforming figures that were posable as G.I. Joe figures who had weapons that transformed. And I got me a Soundwave and a Shockwave because I could not afford the G1 Shockwave and Soundwaves, and that's the closest I got. And if you notice, the paint isn't as far off from this figure. In fact, it's actually a lot better. I like it. It's like a uh, I don't know, it's a nice bright purple rather than this dull purple, and I don't know if you can see in the camera, but it's very nice. And instead of silver, they put like a ivory or uh, wheat colored white or something. But I like the effect it has on the purple. Okay, a lot more positives on this figure. It's very articulated. Transformation from robot to robot is very good. The paint job, the main color paint job on this figure is very nice. Although I would say that overall, this guy, the original Shockwave, retains the better paint scheme because he has a lot of the metallic ultramarine. The red is a lot better on this guy, and the faction symbols of gold and silver is very nice. I would give this guy an overall better paint job than this guy. It's just that I like this paint job because I'm very nostalgic for the G1 colors, and I think Hasbro did a good job in giving him the G1 colors. My only concern is there are some quality issues on the faction symbols because they tried making it metallic purple and metallic red, which seems to work just a bit, but not that great. I will probably retouch the Decepticon symbol with my own version of purple, but we'll see if I must. I don't know. We'll see. It's too. Right now I'm seeing it's a little bit too small for any paintbrush that I have, so we'll see. I'd like to point out a few negatives on these figures. Overall, I would say that the transformation is very good from robot to robot. However, from the waist down, there is a disproportion of the joints of the limbs. The thigh overextends, which makes it not unproportioned with the lower legs, and he looks kind of lanky with that. He still works. You can get him into all sorts of poses, but he's just a little bit lanky. And when you fold up the armor, the thigh armor, it hinders the thigh joints from rotating, which is very essential in posing him in various attack positions or crouching position, which is very difficult to do with the locked thighs. Also, the quality control in this original figure is very nice. Everything's tight, from alt mode to the joints. They're very tight. He's a lot easy to pose. This guy, on the other hand, the G1 Shockwave, I'd have to say that quality of some of his joints have much to be desired. For instance, the elbow joints, they're very loose. It's so hard to keep him holding the gun. The hip joints are just horrible. Horrible hip joints. I tried tightening the screws, but they just reached their limit already, and there's no way to tighten them anymore. And they're just very loose. This guy kept on falling, and it took me a while to get him into a good pose. The knee joints aren't as great, and it was very frustrating to get him in a good pose. And this is probably the best pose I can think of for him. This guy was a lot of fun to pose. He was very tight, very easy. So my thoughts on this figure is that if you can get both, that'd be awesome. If you have the cash to do it, that'd be great. If you're a G1 fan of Shockwave and you're not too much of a fan of the animated, I suggest you look for this guy and not him. But if you're indifferent of the color scheme and you could care less whether it was G1 or Show Accurate, in terms of quality and the better figure, quality control, and even overall paint job, I would still have to recommend you get the original Shockwave. He is overall probably the better figure between the two. I was quite surprised. I thought I would like him more than him, but as it turns out, he is the overall better figure between the two. He's probably going to get a 9 out of 10. He's going to get a 10 out of 10. So with that, I say if you've not gotten a Shockwave, go get him. If you can only get one, get him first and get him second. Alright, so stay tuned for part 2 of this figure as we talk more about the transformation. Thanks for watching.